Hello, welcome back to the Whamcast Season 2, Episode 2 now. So, yes, hopefully getting these out to you on a more regular basis after quite a delay. But today we are joined by Mr. Grant, so sadly he's leaving us, so this is a kind of final goodbye. But yeah, you want to introduce yourself, Mr. Grant, for anybody who hasn't had you yet?
Yeah, I'm Mr. Grant. I am a maths teacher within Millburn's maths department, and yeah, I am leaving. So this is a goodbye podcast for me.
Very sad. Is there any reason why you're going?
My main reason going is I've got an opportunity to go and work out with teaching in a role that was kind of what my degree at university was aimed at. I just never did.
The S2s sorry to interrupt you, but were the S2s and S1s, were they just too bad for you?
Yes, definitely. No, not at all. That's not fair. I've done 14 years, so it's partly that. I'm a big believer in you shouldn't kind of sit still just doing the same thing over and over. I don't think that's healthy. I've taught every level. I've taught advanced higher. I've taught, every national upwards. I've taught, I think, every set from S1 to 4, so I just felt now was the time. I didn't fancy management within teaching, and let's say it's always kind of nibbled away at me that I never took the opportunity to work in the industry my degree was aimed at. I wanted to work in the power industry and I never did, just through certain circumstances. When I left uni, I chose to want to be in Glasgow because my wife was going to, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she is now, was going to go to university to do prime teaching in Aberdeen, and I didn't want to be down in England where I had a job offer within the power industry. I chose to work in the railways. So
sorry, just for those who are curious, is there any specifics you can give us about your job?
Of the new role? Yeah, it's with an Irish power installation company called Kirby. They're basically a contractor of the big Scottish and Southern Energy and Scottish Power. They do work out with Scotland, but my main area will be Scotland. So basically, anything to do with the power systems, whether it be wind farms, whether it be substations, not so much over the installation of the overhead lines. It's more like the substation work that I'll be involved in. Certainly initially on the low voltage side, but hopefully longer term get up into the high voltage side. So, yeah.
Sorry, back to teaching. We're aware that you're leaving, so we just wanted to ask, is there any funny stories? Of 14 years of teaching, there must be a few.
Oh, there is definitely a few funny stories. I've got to tread carefully. Make sure
you're leaving.
I know I'm leaving, but on the spot, I've got to make sure. I genuinely wish to say, because obviously some of my funny stories are coming in my leaving speech for staff, so I'm a bit wary about
don't want to spoil
anything.
I
don't want to throw out any spoilers. And lots of the funniest moments generally involve innuendo or people saying things. I genuinely can't say but those in my higher class this year need to ask a few people what Robert Urquhart said the other day, right? So if you know anyone from the higher class, just
Robert
ask them.
Honestly,
I wish you'd say, because on the top of my head, I can't quote, but there has been lots of them, and let's say the ones I could are going to be in my leaving speech, so I'm going to allude to some of the funniest moments that have happened to me. But there's plenty of them, whether it just be funny moments in class, occasionally, you get the usual ones where a kid refers to your mum or dad. That always, I remember that fear when I was that age, and it's happened to me a few times where you just obviously make sure they heard, and then you tell the class that no, I'm not your mum or dad. So there's stuff like that, and there is a few funny stories about things. I'd say the most, generally involve, funny things happening, kids saying things that, they didn't mean to say, or they say it in such a way that, those that are sharper will take a double meaning and things like that. So, yeah.
But since you've been through the school system now, pretty much, you've done school, university, and you've done teaching. Is there any advice you could give to any future teachers or anyone just coming into teaching?
Into teaching, the advice I would is you're going to have to work your socks off to begin with. To be actually very, very good at it, you're going to put in way, way above the hours you're paid for to begin if you actually want to make it, A, the classes run smoothly, B, make sure you're on top of the kind of work that you're going to do, because I think the worst thing as a teacher is to get caught out teaching something you're maybe not as familiar as you should be. So yeah, put the work in. It is worth it, but it's a bit of a bind, especially if you're maybe coming into it from a previous job and you've got family. But I remember working to all hours, kind of doing it. So
Aye. Yeah. Teaching any other schools other than Millburn?
Yes, I did. I have taught up here. I taught in Forest. That's where I taught for a year and a half. Before that, I taught in Dumfries High School for 2 years. And then that was my probation year included in that one. And then before that, I had training at Bannerman High School in Glasgow and Loch End Community High School. Let me just say, Loch End was an interesting place.
Well, so out of all the schools you've taught at, then which would you say is your favourite?
Bear in mind, you are on the Millburn podcast.
Yes, and it's not a bias. I've stayed here for longest, so that in itself I think speaks volumes, because I stayed at Dumfries for 2, Forest for 1.5 years. It would definitely be Millburn. I actually, I genuinely, I know I'm leaving. Kind of indicates is he happy, but I do love the school. I think it's brilliantly led. I think it's going in absolutely the right direction, and vast majority of pupils are brilliant in this school. So anyone wanting, as a teacher that's listening to this, I couldn't recommend a better school. You won't, I actually think, genuinely find a much better school in Scotland. So it is a great school. I know it sounds weird with me leaving, but the chance to do something that was linked to my degree, what I'd originally went to uni for, is too good an opportunity to turn down.
We like to use this podcast as a lot of pupils listen to it.
Yeah,
to be kind of a career advice in
yeah.
some sort of way. Sorry, so can we ask what you did at uni? If that's not...
I did electrical mechanical engineering with business studies, which basically it's for all intents and purposes it was a power engineering, electrical power engineering course, but it had elements of electronics, had elements of the mechanical side. But it was designed certainly by the university at the time as a kind of way into the power industry. So,
and what courses did you, if you can remember? I mean,
right here, top of my head, like there was like high voltage systems, AC analysis. I did a statistics course. I did algebra and calculus. There was, what was it? Laplace transforms classes, which for those that go in, I can't stress anyone going down an engineering route, I would advise do advanced higher maths. Because it'll make your first and second year at uni easier. And I've spoke to pupils, it's been a long time since I was at uni, but I've spoke to pupils and it's still very much predominantly the same maths courses, because maths of engineering doesn't change. How we deal with it, maybe with computers, software, things like that does, but the principles behind it don't change. So yeah, if you're thinking in engineering, possibly even science, but certainly engineering, if I remember right, all the engineering courses at Strathclyde did the same maths courses for the first and second year, and honestly, having done, this is showing my age, I did the old equivalent of advanced higher. It was called Certificate of 6-Year Studies. That made my life at uni much easier, so the maths wasn't unfamiliar. I would stress engineers out there, do advanced higher maths. It will make your life better.
Aye. Well, I was about to ask you what university you went to there, but you've already just dropped it in there. Strathclyde. Seems to be, that's the place to go though for engineering. So.
Certainly is. I think it's now ranked. Is it not possibly one of the best in the UK? I think for engineering. So yeah, I was lucky. I got there as they were on the app, and actually, what's it called? The dean of the university was there at my time. I think it's Jim McDonald. He's still there because I still get alumni. He wasn't dean at the time, but he was on his way up. He was linked. He'd worked in the power industry and things. So we definitely had dealings with him. So it was great. I loved uni. Loved So do
you have any advice for any S6 students then going in?
For going to uni?
Yeah.
Enjoy it my one advice I would say, if you can, is get a part-time job, because I didn't, and I kind of regret having spoke to friends that did. The network of people they met doing a part-time job within the balance of still being able to do your course. I was lucky enough my parents helped kind of fund me through it, because my 2 brothers had chosen not to go to uni, but I kind of regret not doing a part-time job down there. I would do that, get involved in the social life. There are so many opportunities within the clubs within a university the size of Strathclyde, and I'm sure it'll be the same at Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Dundee, so on. Get involved in the classes. Don't be stuck by the cliques that can happen in secondary school, which are a natural element of secondary school. So if there's something you like but you never wanted to kind of get involved in it in case your peers at school didn't like it, ignore it, because you're going to make a whole different group of friends. You're probably actually going to gravitate much more towards, you're going to find a lot of people kind of your same way of thinking, like the same things. So yeah, get involved would be the thing, and all the sports, the clubs, the activities, the things they do.
Aye. So just talking of kind of clubs and activities and stuff, anything you took up from university or?
Actually, again, it's a regret. I wished I'd kind of got involved in the musical side. I've never been musical, but like looking back as an adult, I'd wished I got involved in that. But I didn't. Mine was more the sports clubs. I kind of stuck to football was my main one at that time. Yeah, so I played with the school, the university football teams. We travelled around Scotland playing against other unis and stuff like that. It was again. There's a lot of regrets in my part. I don't think I took part in as much as an adult. Reflecting back, so this is why I want to pass on advice of what I think I didn't do, and wished I did more of was get involved in that. But I loved the university life. I loved the union and getting involved in nights and quiz nights and events linked to all that. I did do, and I certainly enjoyed that. But yeah, it's definitely get involved. That would be my big.
Talking about football, do you have a football team?
Yes, I'm an Inverness Caledonian Thistle fan and season ticket holder. So.
So that's going to be sad if you're moving away to Ireland, though.
No, I'm not moving to Ireland. I'm not moving away. You will still see my mag around Inverness. I'm working for it. They're an Irish company, but I'll be working. I'll be on site, but it'll be mostly in the north of Scotland. But it could be anywhere in Scotland. But I will still be based out of Inverness. I'm not uprooting family or anything like that.
Did you grow up in the Highlands?
Yes, I grew up in Inverness. I'm an Inverness boy. I might be not allowed to say this, but I was an IRA pupil. So yeah, I know. I know it's a bit controversial because when I grew up in IRA, there was a bit of a rivalry with Millburn. So there's been a bit of irony in my life that I've been a teacher and actually worked now longer in Millburn than I went to school at the IRA. So I'd have to say Millburn's more of a favourite now than because of that, connection. But yeah, I've bridged the rivalry, shall we say.
It's fine. You could have come from the IHS, so it could have been
worse. That's true. Yeah.
But yes. Yep. So talking of football, do you still play football now, or?
Unfortunately, no. A knee injury has curtailed that. I loved playing football. So that was it was quite a sad moment for me. For any of the Inverness fans out there, they'll know that my actual final injury was caused by Ross Tokley. Who was a right back for Cali. I kind of did a turn and he went right into the side of my knee, and it's called a vulgar knee extension, which basically bends the total opposite way it should. And I've got a big hole in my cartilage, and I've been advised there's no real surgery that the NHS offer, so my football career is now over.
Did you ever have aspirations to play professionally?
No, I was never that good. It's only more recent. It was just prior to COVID. I think it was, when was it? 2019. That the final injury happened. I've had 3 in the same knee. So physio was like, don't play football. I could, but it'll be sore. I'll pay a price. I'll probably not walk properly for a couple of weeks, so it's not worth it. So
not at all.
Golf has become my love.
Golf. So, yeah. I was hearing actually you play golf with some of the guys in our year.
We played. We did a wee teacher and pupil versus other teachers and pupil. Unfortunately, I didn't win. Mr. Tillman and I think Callum Tuckwood were on fire. So when they eagled the first, there's not much hope when you're on fire like that to begin with. But the main thing is I didn't lose. I think it was
who came last? Come on, you can out them. Name and shame.
It was Mr. Murphy and who was he playing with? Was it Owen? Who was playing with? I think it was Owen. Yes,
Owen McDonald.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Owen, and what was it? Mr. Murphy came last. There was also Mr. Simpson and Daniel Humphreys. I think were in the other team, and it was myself and. Is it Ryan Quigley? I think were the.
Ryan is very good at golf. It's fine. So. Mr. Murphy was getting let down by Owen. He would have been.
Well, I don't. I just don't think they hit the heights. It was quite close amongst the other 3. It's just Mr. Tuckwood. Mr. Tillman and Callum Tuckwood were just a wee bit better. So. It was quite it's disappointing. I obviously like to win. I'm quite competitive. So yeah.
Do you have any parting advice for Millburn pupils now? S1 to S6. Golden rule or golden
rule. My parting advice is work hard at whatever you do. Make sure you enjoy your job. Don't do a job just because it's either something you think you should do, something you've been told to do. There's nothing worse in life than being miserable in the thing you spend 35 hours a week at. So make sure you do it. But yeah, it's work hard. The people I know that made success, whether it be academically, whether it be out with, or the one thing I'd say all of them is they worked hard at whatever they did, as in they were putting in more. They weren't just doing their 35, they were doing stuff at home, and again, that relates. If you like what you do, you're more willing to put the hours in. It was the same for me. I have loved teaching. I just think I've kind of run the course of that, and I would, have the opportunity to try something different.
I don't think anyone would shy at 14 years.
Yeah, that's it. I think I've done a good shift, and like I say, 10 of those nearly have been at Millburn. So yeah, I have liked what I've done. I've never been in any job this long in one place. So I think that speaks volumes of Millburn.
Aye, well, I mean, never know. You could come back one day,
Well, I'm not saying never, because this whole point is, again, I don't always say the grass is greener. I know I'm full of cliches and sayings, but I want to try this, but I have no idea whether it will be as enjoyable. Certainly, the challenge of learning something new, it really does give me that kind of buzz. But I'm not ruling out that I wouldn't return to teaching, because I might get the idea that actually, I really did enjoy it and that was my calling. But I have to do what my degree was for, because it would really bug me in old age if I turned down the chance. So I've got to take it. But you never say never.
Aye.
Thank you. With that inspiration, we have to ask a less philosophical question of we have to do it. It's mandatory now.
Yeah.
If you were on a desert island,
yes,
and any food for the rest of time,
yes,
what would it be?
Oh God. See, I've got this is a tough one to answer for me, because I have a sweet tooth, so chocolate would be up there. But I would also, if you were to say to me I could never eat a steak again, I think I would also shed a tear. If you said to me I'm never allowed to eat curry again, I'd shed a tear. Oh, what could I? Oh, I'd have to go with chocolate.
Chocolate.
I'm a chocolate fiend. Yeah, you give me a Dairy Milk or a Lindor, I'm in heaven.
Is this for the staff?
Just giving them hints.
Yeah, hints if they haven't already bought it. Yeah,
we'll try and get it out in
Dairy
time.
Milk, not Galaxy. I've debates with my wife. She loves Galaxy chocolate, and I just don't get it. I was like, for me, it's Dairy Milk or Lindor, and that's end of. So yeah, chocolate would be my desert island. Even though I obviously understand from a health perspective, and we are meant to be a health promoting school. Don't eat too much chocolate.
Yeah, wink. That would be the night.
Yes. Well, thank you very, very much for coming on. It's been sad to see you go, but it's good to have you on for the second episode before you go on. But yes, thank you very much for coming on, and yes.
No, thank you very much for having me. I'm actually quite excited to get to answer these questions. I do genuinely wish if you'd give me a wee idea. I feel bad not being able to throw out a couple of funny stories, but there are others. But yeah, it's been a great job.
If you think of anything now, if it's too inappropriate, we can cut it.
Hint by the long silence.
No, the one I want people to go ask Robert what he said, because that for hopefully the younger ones won't know him well enough. But yeah, ask Robert. That was pretty funny.
Whamcast homework.
Yeah,
go speak to Robert Urker. Go ask him about.
Go ask him what did he say inappropriate in Mr. Grant's class last week. It's pretty funny. But I've got to watch for that, because it's actually But yeah,
it's too. You can't put this on the Whamcast publicly.
I definitely can't put the Whamcast.
If you go do your own research, you can find out.
Yes, that's it.
For all the avid listeners out there, if you really want to know,
if you really want to
go speak to Robert.
Podcast as well. So we can see where true listeners are.
Yes, exactly. True listeners, they can make that effort and that connection. Yes.
But yes, well, that is it. So thank you very much for coming on, and that has been episode 2.